Hello there. Hello. Hey, it's Jeri Cates with Empowered Women Live. We're at a special time today, a little bit later. So if you catch this on the live, hashtag live, and if you're here for the replay, hashtag replay. And I always love to know any comments you have about my talks. So be sure to put something in the comments, okay? All right, so what are we talking about? We are talking about the perfection trap. If I can't do it, you know what? Did I grab the right one? Hold on one second. I got the wrong one. How about that? I got the wrong one. Hey, Thelma. So I'm perfectly imperfect. I grabbed the wrong, last week's. It sounded familiar, the perfection trap. Because actually we're on the 4th week of the power penalty. If I claim too much, I'll be punished. Have you ever held back your ideas, your truth, or your joy because you didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable? Have you ever felt afraid to shine too brightly, speak too directly, or ask for more because part of you believed there would be a cost? So you're not alone, and you're not broken. I just want to let you know that you're not broken. You've inherited a cultural identity pattern called, if I claim too much, I'll be punished. Dr. Claire Zamek calls this the power penalty in her Women's Cultural Barriers Matrix. And today we're going to name it, challenge it, and begin to release it at a level of identity. So this is part 4 of a 7-part series, The Cultural Lies We Inherited and the Truth That Sets Us Free. So I'm putting these up. Facebook doesn't save the videos for more than 30 days now. So I'm putting this up on YouTube, this series. So reach out to me if you want to see the other ones and I'll send you the link. Okay? So each week, we're naming one identity level pattern that holds high-functioning, emotionally intelligent women back from their full power and offering the tools to shift into truth, confidence, and visibility. I trained in this framework with Dr. Claire Zamet and the Institute for Women-Centered Coaching. This work is rooted in over 2 decades of research and how women break through long-held inner barriers by shifting who they believe they're allowed to be. Okay? All right, so the first point I want to talk about, and stick around, make sure you're somewhere where you can, we're going to do a little bit of tapping at the end, so make sure you're alone so that you don't feel uncomfortable, because I really want you to be fully present and experience it. Most women don't shrink because, let me back up. The power penalty is about belonging, not brilliance. Most people, or most women, don't shrink because they lack ability. They shrink because they've been taught, consciously or not, that standing out is dangerous. Ever felt that way? Any time in your life? And maybe you don't feel that way now. Maybe this isn't one of your cultural barriers. But you might remember a time when you felt that way, that it's dangerous to stand out. And we've been conditioned to believe, don't outshine anyone. Stay humble. If you rise too high, you'll make people uncomfortable. So you don't want to do that. Do you feel that, where those came from? Well, don't make a scene. Don't, people trying to temper you down. So instead of owning our power, we downplay our strengths, soften our wins, avoid asking for what we really want, overfunction behind the scenes. Those are the things we do instead of owning our power. And here's what it looks like in real life. You hesitate before you ask for a raise or raise your prices. Not because you're unsure of your value, but because you're afraid of being seen as greedy or demanding. You hold back in conversations, over-explain your opinions, or use softer language so no one feels threatened. You achieve something big, but don't share it because part of you fears being judged, envied, or resented. You're growing and evolving, but start shrinking again because you sense others pulling away. And it feels like a betrayal to yourself because part of you knows you've worked very hard to get here. So those are some of the ways that it shows up in real life. And put a yes in the chat if any of those feel familiar to you. Here's a reflection prompt. Where in your life are you shrinking your power to preserve connection? Think about your relationships, whether it's with a significant other, a family member, a colleague, a friend. Just notice where in your life you are shrinking your power to preserve the connection. Okay, the second point I want to talk about. Shrinking doesn't keep you safe, it keeps you small. When we dim our power, we avoid discomfort or backlash. When we dim our power to avoid discomfort or backlash, we aren't just holding back our ideas. We're cutting off those parts of ourselves. We're abandoning the parts of us that are bold, brilliant, and fully alive. That's big. That's big. It just, I always think of it as a dimmer switch. When you turn that dimmer switch down, you're abandoning yourself. That internal shrinkage creates deep disconnection. You wonder why you're disconnected from yourself? This could be a reason. A woman can appear confident on the outside, but feel invisible and unexpressed on the inside. And that's where burnout, resentment, and loss of purpose take root. You wonder why you don't feel like you have a purpose? This might be it. It might be part of the problem. We tell ourselves it's better to stay small than risk being misunderstood, envied, or left behind. But the truth is, shrinking doesn't create safety. It creates self-abandonment. Think about that. Shrinking doesn't create safety. It creates self-abandonment. So when you dim your light, you're abandoning yourself. You're literally abandoning yourself. The longer you stay small, the more you reinforce the false identity. And here's a false identity. My brilliance is a burden. If I shine too brightly, I'll lose love. It really does come down to that. I'll lose approval. People won't like me. And then we turn that dimmer switch down, right? We start living small. And when you live from that belief, your nervous system stays on alert, constantly managing other people's feelings instead of embodying your own truth. So busy taking care of everyone else, we forget ourselves. We forget ourselves. But what if your power isn't the problem? What if the portal to joy, creativity, aligned leadership, and relationships, relationships you've been craving? So what if it's the portal? So this moment when you catch yourself feeling small, that's your opportunity to make a choice, right? To be bold, to be the brilliant woman that you are. The world doesn't need less of you, it needs more of the real you, right? If you ever feel like you're too much, the world doesn't need less of you, it needs more of the real you. And that's what I like to help you tap into is who you really are. Who you are when you're coming home to yourself. Who you really are. Yeah. So here's an identity practice. Think of a moment when you held back something you were proud of and ask yourself, what identity was I inhabiting in that moment? When you held back, who were you being in that moment? Were you being not enough? Were you being, I don't want to be seen? And then what belief was I protecting? Right? What belief about myself was I protecting? I'm not enough. Oh, so I don't want to shine my light here. I don't want to, share this win because the belief is I'm not enough, right? I need to dim my light. I need to hide. I need to be small. I need to be that cultural thing of, what did we say at the beginning? Oh, I wanted to find it. It's about claiming, let's see, if I claim too much, I'll be punished. So if I claim too much, if I'm too big, too out there, I'll be punished. So now tune into your future self, the one who shows up radiant, grounded, and unapologetic. Just take a moment and take a breath. Inhale good, exhale bad. Inhale good, exhale bad, and release all that negative energy, that dim light, just releasing all of that. And step into your future self. See your future self coming to you from the distance. How is she carrying herself? What is she wearing? See the smile on her face. Look at the wisdom she already has. She's where you want to be. Now, when you're thinking of that future self, don't you feel the light turning up, that dimmer switch turning up, right? You step into your future self, you feel more grounded because it really helps you identify the direction you're moving toward, right? Okay, so the third point I want to make, the shift. Power is not the threat, it's a blessing. Here's the truth. You don't have to choose between love and relationships, between success and connection. The belief that power will cost you love is a cultural conditioning. It's not reality. It is cultural conditioning. It's not your reality. It's not reality. And that's the distinction. We need to understand that identifying that belief that having power will cost me love. Oh, that's cultural conditioning. I've been taught that. I don't have to live in that. Real power, when it's embodied, is compassion and integrity. It's energetic. It creates connection, not separation. It builds trust. It lights the way. Power doesn't have to be performance. It can be presence. It can be stillness. It can be quiet, certainty that says, I belong here. I belong here. Think about shifting from external validation to inner authority, from managing other people's comfort to honoring your own truth. Yeah. This is about shifting from external validation, right? And stepping into that internal authority. You're stepping into self-leadership. If you want to know more about self-leadership, send me a message and I'll share with you about what that looks like, what self-leadership looks like. Okay, so you're not too much. You were simply taught to be less. Ooh, there's a distinction. So you're not too much. You were simply taught to be less. And you can unlearn this. You can unlearn that now. Here's an embodiment cue. Sit tall or stand tall. Place your feet flat on the floor. Breathe deep into your heart space. Right there in your heart center of your chest, at the level of your heart. Breathing deep into that space. And now say aloud, my power is a blessing, not a burden. My power is a blessing, not a burden. I rise and I stay rooted in love. I rise and I stay rooted in love. I no longer shrink to be safe. I expand to serve. I no longer shrink to be safe. I expand to serve. Here's a power statement. I am powerful, radiant, and here to lead. I am powerful, radiant, and here to lead. And you know, leading could be a large group of people. It could be leading the people around you, your family members, your colleagues, your clients, but most importantly, it's leading yourself. And that's what I'm talking about is self-leadership. Let's see, how am I doing on time? I might even talk about self-leadership a moment here. Here's the rest of the power statements though. I don't shrink, apologize, or hide my greatness. I don't shrink, apologize, or hide my greatness. And these are power statements because they're anchored in the feeling we're shifting. My presence is permission. My presence is permission. My leadership is love. Yeah. My leadership is love. I hope you're saying these because they're very powerful and way more powerful if you say them and let it resonate through your body. I rise and bring others with me. Ooh. My presence is permission. My leadership is love. I rise and bring others with me. Yeah. So let me talk a little bit about self-leadership. So self-leadership is, first of all, knowing when you're in the cycle, the negative loop. I'm not good enough. I'm invisible. People don't like me. Whatever it is you say, and when you're in that negative loop. And that's a closed mindset, right? That's a closed mindset. So the idea is noticing when you're in that space, when you're saying those negative things, when you're feeling those negative feelings. And I like to use the image of my wise adult self going to the dark side and taking my little girl by the hand because she's stuck in those negative loops and leading her over to the light. And how do I do that? I do things like tapping. I do things like shift my mindset. If I'm saying something negative, what's the positive? Like, I doubt I'll ever make it. I am certain I'm going to make this happen. I'm certain. See the difference? So it's, what's the opposite of it? Doubt, certainty. You know, I'm trying to think of some other ones. I try to stay out of there, the negative ones, because when they come in, I'm working on them. I'm taking that little girl by the hand and taking her over to the other side. But the idea is reprogramming your subconscious with affirmations, with power statements, learning what holds you back. What's the old story that holds you back? I'm not enough. You can't create in that space. So identifying the story and saying, oh, I see where that came from. That came from me being told I wasn't enough, or me being treated badly and I just figured I wasn't enough. But that's not happening now, right? I may have made those decisions to keep myself safe in that chaos. You get to decide. Go over to the open loop, right? It's not a closed loop. The other side is, it's open. It's full of possibility. So the question is, what internal resources do I have, right? How can I depend on myself, right? What external resources do I have? Who can I depend on? Who can I talk to? And then what other resources are there? You know, what can I go do? What can I go learn? Right? So instead of being in this place of I'm not enough or I can't get anything right, it's like, hey, what's possible here? What are the possibilities? How can I shift to a positive place? Yeah. So that's the beginning of self-leadership. And in my coaching program, that's part of what we do in the beginning to help you get that skill, build that muscle of self-leadership, of noticing when you're in that dark space or when you might even be facing that way, right? And taking yourself over to the light. You know, what can I say to myself? You know, start asking possibility questions. I wonder what's possible here. Have you ever had something happen and you thought it was the worst thing in the world when it was happening, but afterward and down the line you look back on it and you realize you had a lot of growth out of it? That happens. That happens. And that's what we're after. So I like to say, turn it, let's see, when things happen, negative things seem to happen, turn it into fertilizer and grow something beautiful out of it. So you know by experience that when you've had a bad time of something and you got through it and you had some lessons from it, now you got one under your belt, right? So now when you're in that moment where you can go to the dark side or the light side, you can say, hey, I've been through this before. I can take some action here. And I can get through this. I'm going to get through this. It's just a powerful place to be. A really powerful place to be. So you don't have to do it all alone. This is the work I do, helping women shift from these inherited identity patterns and into self-trust, visibility, and leadership that's been waiting for you. One of the things I do is hypnotherapy. And what we do there is, you know, people think, oh, hypnotherapy, hypnotist. Now, hypnotist, that's entertainment. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do because I just help you get into deep relaxation and come from a self-leadership place, so you can do the icky work, right? The stuff that's been holding you back. But when you come from this empowered place, it's so much easier. And I walk with you all the way along. I offer hypnotherapy in my coaching program because it accelerates results. It moves them along. And usually after a hypnotherapy, I mostly do them on women, although I'll do them on men. But the women will say, wow, wow, because it blows their mind. It expands your mind and makes you understand, or helps you understand, why you think the way you do, why you're hard on yourself, right? One client, her thing was about abandonment, and where she went was it's a regression. You go back to a time, another time when you felt this way. We're working on feelings. And she went back to this experience of abandonment. Her dad was driving away, and she rarely saw him in the rest of her life. Or his life. She rarely saw him. And so then I ask, when you get into that place, I ask, what decision did you make about this? Right? What decision did you make about yourself about this? And what was it? Hers was, people leave me. I'm alone. And then what behavior came out of that? Because this is the important part. The behavior was super independent, didn't let anyone in, which caused some problems in relationships. So being aware of this hyper independence, she could pull back and be more welcoming and connect more, because she knew this was from an old wound, and we did some work healing that wound. Now it might not totally heal, but I'll tell you what, you have some insights like never before. It is always a big wow at the end of a hypnotherapy when I ask, what's your key takeaway? And it's like, wow, oh my gosh. So yeah, hypnotherapy is really cool. But I'll tell you what, I'm offering 5 clarity calls this week to support women to get ready to rise. And it's a great start. We'll identify where you've been playing small in your life or hiding in plain sight. And then clarify your next level, your next power level, and what it actually looks like and feels like. We're going to attach that feeling to it. And then explore, what would it take to fully embody the woman that you came here to be? What would that take? To embody that woman. Can you imagine being who you came here to be without all the chaos, right? To just have this clear alignment with yourself. And when you go off course, you course correct, because we do, right? But to really have that inkling of knowing what you're here to do and who you're here to be. Yeah, powerful stuff. So if you're interested in one of those clarity calls, and then we could talk about a hypnotherapy if you're interested. But if you're interested in a clarity call, type clarity in the chat, or you can DM me and we'll get you set up. Okay? Now, I have a little treat for you. So I'm going to do a little tapping. So make sure you're somewhere where they won't think you're crazy, right? So, because it's different. It's different. Let's see if I can do this, because I didn't bring something to tape it with. So we're going to do karate chop, which is going to be a really short tapping. And this one is about breaking through this, right? This, that you have to play small. So karate chop is just 2 fingers on the side of the hand. That's your karate chop. And I'm going to say everything twice so that you have an opportunity to say it, because I want you to have that opportunity. And then this is the eyebrow point. I'm going to say the names of the places when we go there. And then corner of the eye, under the eye, under the nose, under the chin, the collarbone. So you feel your collarbone, go in that space just below it. Collarbone, and then right around your bra line. You can do it across like that. I like to just jab it right there in the side. Now, first, let me give you a disclaimer. I'm not certified to teach this, but as a nurse practitioner working in a holistic clinic, when I did 10 years ago, or actually longer than that, 2012, we used it. It was the protocol for people who had anxiety or depression. And I have got to tell you, learn to tap. You can do it in first thing in the morning. You can do it last thing at night. My sister called the other day and was saying she slept really good when she did tapping at night, and that her she's got one of those watches that records your level of sleep, and she was in deep sleep. So I've been doing tapping at night and in the morning. So a tapping to release your day, right? To move through all the things you think you need to do, to allow you to put that aside and to give yourself permission to rest. So tapping. Okay, so you don't need to be certified. It's really easy. And I'm just trying to think. There's lots of ways to do it, so you can't do it wrong. Just get somewhere near the spots. And like, what I like to do is measure, like if I have anxiety and I'm doing a tapping on anxiety, but measure it at first and say, okay, 0 to 10, my anxiety is an 8 or whatever it is, right? And then measure it at the end. So we're just doing a short tapping, but I want you to notice the energy shift you get from doing this. Okay? All right, ready? Okay, we're going to do karate chop. Even though I've been afraid to be too much. Go ahead and say it. Even though I've been afraid to be too much. Even though I've held back my power to feel safe. Even though I've held back my power to feel safe. I deeply love and accept myself, and I'm ready to expand. I deeply love and accept myself, and I'm ready to expand. I'm going to say it again. Even though I've been afraid to be too much. Even though I've been afraid to be too much. Even though I've held back my power to feel safe. Even though I've held back my power to feel safe. I deeply love and accept myself, and I'm ready to expand. I deeply love and accept myself, and I'm ready to expand. Eyebrow point. I've been shrinking. Wait, I have to grab it. Bear with me. Keep tapping that hand. Keep tapping. Okay, now go to eyebrow point. I've been shrinking to be accepted. Say it with me. I've been shrinking to be accepted. And then side of the eye. I've been afraid to outshine. I've been afraid to outshine. Under the eye, I've hidden parts of myself. I've hidden parts of myself. Under the nose, to stay safe, loved, or liked. To stay safe, loved, or liked. Under the chin, but it's costing me too much. But it's costing me too much. Collarbone. It's not the truth of who I am. It's not the truth of who I am. Under the arm, I'm allowed to be powerful. I'm allowed to be powerful. And then top of the head, I'm allowed to take up space. And then take a nice deep breath in. And exhale. Go ahead and place your hand on your heart center. I like to add this little part. I am safe to shine. I am safe to shine. My power is a gift. I rise and I'm still loved. So if you did the tapping with me, put tapping in the chat because I'd love to know if you tried it. And that's just a short one. Now, when I do hypnotherapy, I write you a tapping script afterward, and it's longer than this. This is a real short one, but because it's taking the words that really mean something to you and putting it in the tapping thing. So we take the negative things that happen, how it said, I've been afraid to outshine. So whatever your words are, and then it has the positive ones toward the end. So you can go online and look up Brad Yates. He's my favorite of tapping instructors because he gives you time to speak and he's got tons of stuff. So, excuse me, you can Google Brad Yates, comma YouTube. You want to get it on YouTube and then tell what, it could be anxiety, or go YouTube, comma Brad Yates, And then whatever the issue is, anxiety, I'm feeling alone, I don't want to work today, I have a bad attitude, I feel resentment. I mean, anything that's coming up, you just type it in there and then look and see what he's got, because he's been doing it, I think, since 2010 at least. So there's tons of resources in there. So go find you a Brad Yates tapping script and put it in your routine. So you can do it, like I was saying earlier, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. I go into ChatGPT and do my schedule. I say, I have this, and this today. I have these tasks that'll take this long. Help me make a schedule and put 10-minute tapping breaks in there. And that way, as I'm going through my day, I was like, oh, it's time to tap. And then it helps keep me regulated. It helps keep my emotions, my nervous system regulated. And that's what I'm after here, is to help get you calm so that you can make wise choices. So, again, if you're feeling the shift, go ahead and put clarity in the chat or DM me and we'll get on a clarity call. And you're not too much. You're right on time. And I'd be honored to walk with you. So I want to say that next week we're doing part 5, the failure penalty. I can't afford to fail. That one's going to be big. The failure penalty. I can't afford to fail. Again, this is from Claire Zamet's work that we're drawing these wonderful experiences from. All right. So, Thelma, you were here the whole time. Thank you. And I see Jessica and Marie, all of you were here. And Patty. And so thank you so much. I would love your comments. I'd love your feedback. I'm also to, what do you want me to talk about? We've got, let's see, 5. We have 3 more of this series. But let me know what you want me to talk about, and I'll put content out that'll help answer your questions. So ask me questions. Let's get some things rolling. Let's get some energy going and really empower you to live your best life. Okay. Thanks again for staying. I'll see you next week, if not sooner. Okay. Bye.